I got a call from Bill, and he was looking for a director for Yeomen of the Guard to do your next Gilbert and Sullivan after the success of Pirates of Penzance that you had a few years ago. And Andrew and I have been working on 3 Gilbert and Sullivan pieces in Chicago for the past 5 years, and we're very excited to get the opportunity to come out here.
Well, Sean writes the text first. And then what I usually do first is take the score and really boil it down to its simplest form. Just what were the vocals, what was the chord progression that followed. And then we start to take the two and put them together and figure out how to structure it in a way that will, again, be a little bit more accessible. Today, we do a lot of cutting because we like to keep these short so that they can be enjoyed by all ages. So we do a lot of cutting, a lot of rearranging, and then once we get it into the room with the actors, a lot more changes. We build a lot of it around who we have and their skill set.
So far, we've done Pirates of Penzance, we've done Mikado, and we've done HMS Pinafore, and we've done them all with just 10 performers, and the 10 performers double as their own orchestra, so everybody sings and plays their own. Which sounds impossible, but it's not. It does sound impossible, and it sounds like a daunting thing, but it's like we just look for the best people that we can get into the room, and then we try to modify what we're doing based on them and their skill set, and we try to give them a platform for success. Yeah, so ideally that's what we're going to do here, is have 10 performers playing their own instruments, and
knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah. So we start out with, we know what, for example, in this case, the setting for Yeomen will be a country western setting. So we can only imagine there'll be guitars. We would love for there to be a banjo, this and that, but we won't get too detailed on that until we know who we have and what they can bring to it. We keep our songs in the original keys where we can, as much as possible, but there are changes that sometimes need to be made. So you might have a terrific actor who doesn't have a high B, so you might bring something down a little bit. Or you might have a song that's written in a key that's not as comfortable on the instrument that they play. So we'll make some adjustments to original keys to fit the cast and their skills.
We always do a first draft and walk into the room with a pretty good first draft, and then based on who we get and who we're working with, everybody has a different skill set, and everybody excels in different ways. So what we try to do is really modify things as we go based on the fact of like, oh, that joke doesn't work well for you, or you don't find that funny, so we're not going to make you do that joke. We're going to find a joke that works for you. Or this song, the structure of this song is weird. Like, who can help me fix the structure of this song? Like, why do I hate it so much? And then people will add their own opinions, and we'll just figure out things together. We're not tied down to any certain way anything has to be. We just want the show to be great. Right. And I want every artist involved with it to succeed. And if there's something impeding somebody's success, let's get it out of the way. Like, why are we tied to this passage just because it's in the script? We shouldn't have to be tied to it if it doesn't make any sense to you. We could spend like 5 hours of rehearsal work analyzing these 10 lines or figuring out the dramaturgical information in this song, or we could just cut it and like make it easier for you and make it better for an audience.
Well, and make it easier for the audience as well, because what's so great about Sean's cuts is that they really boil things down to, we keep the spirit, we keep the intent, we keep the fun. But I think that one of the things that you do amazingly well is taking out elements that are maybe not helpful or maybe bog down the dramaturgy or bog down the story and boil it down to something that, again, not just the purists can enjoy, although they do enjoy the productions very much, but also a young kid can come and have a blast and not get confused by a lot of plot that doesn't serve the story.
Yes. The story of Yeomen of the Guard is interesting. It is about a man who's wrongfully accused of sorcery, and it is all under the pretense of somebody getting his land. Right. So while two people are, one of his war buddies and his daughter are planning his escape from jail while dressing him as a yeoman, he goes forward with another plan of sending a friend to find a woman blindfolded to randomly marry him so his land can go to his new wife rather than the person who accused him of sorcery.
Clear as mud so far?
Yeah, so, and then both those things happen. He gets married to this blindfolded woman, and then they escape him from jail while dressing as a yeoman of the guard, basically a guard in the prison. And then hijinks ensues, and everybody gets saved, and there's love affairs that don't necessarily happen, and hopefully it'll be clear and fun for all families. I mean, my goal is to really make this an enjoyable experience for everybody. I think that, OSF is great at taking Shakespeare and classic plays and making it for audiences today rather than making it for Elizabethan audiences. And that's what I'm trying to do with this Gilbert and Sullivan stuff, is I'm not trying to perform it for Victorian audiences. We're trying to do it for people that are here. We want people to walk into the room not knowing that this was written over 100 years ago. I want it to feel like a fresh, new musical experience for everybody.
And that's definitely something that with the past 3 has worked really well. So we're excited to bring that here and to create that with a new company.
So when Bill called me, he had said he had this production concept in mind. He was very clear. It was like, well, whatever you want to do, it doesn't necessarily, I don't want to dictate anything, but I have this great idea. And it was apparently when he was directing Pirates of Penzance here, one of the performers, and I'm not sure who, started singing one of the songs in a country western version, in a country western style to pass the time as they were building Like You. And Bill just fell in love with that idea of people singing Gilbert and Sullivan in country western. And he when he first talked to me about it, like I said, it didn't seem that shocking or that surprising. It was just very exciting and seemed like a continuation of the work that I'd been doing with this theater company in Chicago called The Hypocrites. So.
Well, when Sean called me up and said that Bill wanted to do a country western version of Yeomen of the Guard, after giggling a little bit, I listened to it, and the first thing I noticed was that the very first line of the overture had a very sort of sweeping sound to it that I could envision being in Oklahoma or a production of that sort. So I think we'll end up drawing from older country, from, say, Hank Williams and from the original Evolution, maybe drawing on some blues and bluegrass as well. We're not necessarily interested in a more contemporary version of country, and although we both adore Taylor Swift, we won't have Taylor.
Yes, I think that's right. And like when Bill first suggested this country western version of Yeomen of the Guard, it was very exciting because I thought of the past work that Andrew and I did, which is basically 10 people with acoustic instruments, mostly guitars, but banjos and fiddles and like
some harmonica,
Totally. So it wasn't, and we've never done, in the past 3 that we've done with Pirates, Mikado, or HMS Pinafore, we haven't said that it was country western, but it just feels like folk, and it's really actor driven, no amplified instruments or anything. So it just like it didn't blow my mind to be able to do this.
It's not too far from what it's really just going a little further.
Yeah, it's just putting people in cowboy hats, I think.
And boots.
And boots. Boots are key. Comfortable boots are key. Yes, Steph, country western. Thank you. We'll talk to the costume designer and make sure we get boots.
We get boots too, right?
Yeah, we get boots.